I think we're live. Give this just a second to make sure we've got audio, everything's going. Buttons are apparently going to be hard for me tonight. Yep, we've got audio. Okay, so I guarantee you I'm not as ready as I would like to be right now. We're playing musical. What? They both lay down. I've got both the Greyhounds in with me tonight. I was only going to bring Gibson, but Wade, new boy, wanted to follow, but didn't like when I closed the door. So it was a whole thing of me trying to figure out where he wanted to be. So we may get interrupted a bit. The paint colors you're seeing on my palette are not what we're using. These are just the colors I used on the cat that I just painted. Those of you on Patreon have seen that. Actually, it's over on Instagram too, so you guys have seen that one. So that's what all of these are. A few of these I'll use, but most of them are not even colors like this. I don't need unbleached titanium white today. Get out of the way. Okay, see, there's one use. One of the few times you see me really use a palette knife to move paint around. Okay, so tonight we're going to be painting a night scene. This is pretty, actually it looks like this scooted a bit too far. Let me double check. Can we move you over a little? Yeah, we'll go there. I know that the image is blocking a little bit of the canvas, but it's not enough to matter, and I think that it would be helpful for you guys to see what in the world we're working on. Now, there are a couple of ways that you are able to do this. One, to do the galaxy, the easiest way by far, if you have an airbrush, that is the way to do it, and I'll show you how to do that. But I'm also going to show you how to do it without an airbrush. So either way, we'll get you guys covered tonight on how to do this. Those of you not working with the airbrush, it may take you a little bit longer. You may have to pause it and go back and finish your sky after the fact. So, but I want to make sure that you guys can see both. Although I have not used my airbrush since it may be clogged. We may not be using it at all. I forgot I didn't actually clean it after I used it last because I'm lazy. I have no other excuse other than I'm lazy. Okay. So, coffee. Let's see. So, I will be answering questions in between while letting the canvas dry. This is actually a very, very fast project, so plenty of time. If you guys do have questions, make sure to do the Lachri fine art. If it doesn't highlight in orange, I just don't see the question. It's not that I'm intentionally trying to ignore you. It will just appear that way. Let's see. Hi, hello, Shiny. Monica says, I'm so excited that you're streaming on my birthday. Happy birthday! Mine is Monday? I think Monday's my birthday. Is it Monday? Which is really fun because, yeah, I'm pretty sure mine is Monday. It's also the day I get to go take pictures. I have to leave the house for the first time in weeks. I need to go take pictures of a bunch of the new Greyhounds that came into the rescue that these boys are from, because you can't adopt out a dog if no one can see their photos. So, and it should work out really good because I can stay outside, keep my social distancing, but take pictures of cute Greyhounds. So I'm excited about that. And those of you on Patreon, that will be some of our reference photos this month because, and don't worry, I'm gonna start painting soon. Waiting for a few more people to get here. But the reference photos, if you are looking to like paint something that you can sell on eBay, Etsy, designs, prints and stuff, Greyhounds, Italian Greyhounds, some of the breeds that are a little bit more uncommon, I find sell far better than like a Labrador or a Golden Retriever, or a breed that's very common that has more artists doing it. So these reference photos I think will be really helpful for those of you who are looking for things that you can, sell and make prints of, because I will be taking the photos of those dogs. I can give you permission to paint them, so that I'm pretty excited about. Okay, so it does not matter if you use the same colors I do. Ultramarine, do I want ultramarine? Yeah, sure, whatever, it's out, we'll use that. We'll stick that up there. Let's pull up, let's see, I've got my blue. I'm going to need some more magenta. So the magenta I'm using, it turns out, I don't think they make it anymore. You can see that it's a super old label. This one was Acra Magenta, Acra Violet, something like that. It is Liquitex Basic. Someone on a recent Patreon video was asking, I forgot, I need to message back on that because I'm really about keeping up with those. But I have a feeling that they couldn't find it. It's probably not made anymore. So any magenta or violet, whatever, it doesn't have to be exact. So don't worry too much about that. Thanks for the early birthday wishes, everybody. Steve said, I'd given up on the wind chimes. Oh, I love what you did with your backyard, by the way. Thanks. Yeah, I sit out there all the time. The only thing that's driving me crazy, and if any of you guys are like Bermuda grass experts or landscaping experts, and you have tips for me, please let me know. My yard, I don't know what it's mostly was rock. I've dug out the rock and tried to patch it, but it's bumped, like, it is not smooth like my neighbor's yard. It is the most patchy, which is bad for greyhounds when they run, because if they twist an ankle hitting a divot. So I've been trying to fill those in, and my grass is not, it was put in back right when it went dormant, and so I've got dead patches everywhere. So I've been pulling up the dead, so hopefully it'll fill in, but I could order sod online. I'm tempted to do that, but it'd be cheaper if I went to the store, but obviously that's not an option right now. So I don't even know, do I leave my mud pit alone? I don't know what to do with my grass at this point. Kind of driving me crazy. And the wind chimes, you guys will hear them when I open the window. It's been really hot today, so I don't want to open that, but you'll hear them again. Let's see. Jason said, not keeping your equipment clean, not good. I know. I'm really bad about that. I don't have any good excuses other than being bad. Let me see if I can even get water to flow through that. I'm not sure, and Wade is not used to this sound, so we'll see if that freaks him out. Yeah, it's not coming out as good as it should, but I used it with Inktense, so it's not going to be like a permanent clog. Just letting water sit in there is going to dissolve a lot of that, but I do need to pull that apart and soak it all, but I think we can be okay for tonight. Okay, so I've got my magenta. What other colors do I want in here? Maybe a little bit of a orange, so we'll get a peach tone. Gypsy Heart said, I have some questions for you because I went over my head and bought some new art goodies. Can I layer polychromos over luminance or only vice versa? Just bought both sets. Yep, you can go back and forth. They're both, all of your colored pencils, like your actual colored pencils, I don't mean like Inktense where people call them colored pencils, but they're not really your traditional colored pencil. They're wax or oil based, and they're both really. It's a combination of wax, oil, clay. They've got all kinds of ingredients. And so when we talk about something being, when it comes to colored pencils being a wax based pencil or an oil based pencil, we're really just talking about how much wax or oil. They both have both. So no, they can work back and forth together, no problem. Okay, and I need some white paint. So this is going to take me a couple of layers to get my background about how I want. You don't need to worry if you have a lot of, I'm going to try to blend out most of the brush strokes, but if some are there, it's not a huge deal because we're going to be painting that Milky Way over it. We're going to be putting stars on this. It's going to hide a lot of it. Nancy said, top dress and level your yard with triple mix, then lay sod over top. Water nightly for 1 month. I don't know what top dress and level my yard is. How do you do that? Is that something I have to go to the store for? If you've got a link where I can order it online, that would be ideal. I don't know where to get those things. Zed said, what do you think of Oil Pastel? I feel like I'm one of the only people that uses them. The only reason I don't really use them, I don't like that it feels like, it's like they never dry. They will always be able to smudge, and so you have to put them in a frame, and that takes up more space, and that's, as silly as it sounds, that is the reason I don't really use them anymore. I used to use them all the time. I used to love them. But just the storage and keeping them from smudging, I guess it comes into my laziness of not wanting to deal with protecting it. But that was a huge reason why I stopped. Creative Girl said, OMG, happy birthday in advance. Since we won't see you, my birthday was last Friday. I knew I liked you for a reason. Yeah, April's good. The only thing that kind of sucks, and maybe you guys are experiencing this too, and this is such a first world problem that is not a real problem, but like, you know how on your birthday you get all of the coupons, your birthday coupons. So like, I have a membership to a place called Wild Birds Unlimited where I get all of my bird seed and all the stuff for feeding the wild birds. And in that membership, I pay $25 a year for the membership, and then you get different discounts. But one of them is on your birthday month, you get a free bag of seed and you get a 20% off one item coupon that only works in the store. I'm not going to the store for that. I don't even know if the store is open. I just order stuff online at this point. It's from the store, but like the specific store because they're franchised. So I've got to call them and be like, can't use my birthday coupon because there's a plague going on, so what would you recommend I do? Such a non-problem considering what's going on in the world. That is so petty. Sorry, but it's like so many of your birthday things that I look forward to every year, like the discounts, and it's like, yeah, but you don't get to use them this year. I know, that's so a non-issue compared to what most people are going through right now. Let's see. Nancy said, what city you near? We'll give links. Ooh, I love you, Nancy. I'm near, let's see, what are the bigger cities? Like Frisco, Little Elm, and those are in the like North Texas area, north of Dallas. And I really appreciate that. Thank you. Gypsy Heart said, okay, thanks. I also bought brush and pencil set of products. Can I use the titanium white mixture over pan pastel graphite? And can it be used over Winsor & Newton pigment marker? It doesn't stick well to the pigment marker. When you make that mixture, it's too wet and the pigment marker just lifts. It doesn't work with that. You can use it over graphite. It looks weird though. I don't like it because I don't like to use things to highlight over graphite. I try to leave the white of the paper to show as much as possible because when you do go over with another product, it's usually obvious it's a mixed media. So I've never found one that I really personally liked with adding something on top of it. On top of pan pastels, you can, but if you didn't spray the texture fixative down, and the texture fixative on pan pastels tends to be more spit, well, it's going to spit either way, but it's more obvious on pan pastels. I found that out on the deer, which was fine. I blended it out, but just be aware of that. It's going to spit and leave marks if you spray the texture fixative over it. None of these words are working. Texture fixative over it. There we go. But if you just paint right on top of the pan pastels, you're going to get kind of a pasty mix. It's not going to stick that well. So, I mean, you can use it as far as being archival, yes, on top of all of those things, but do some tests and you'll see what I'm talking about and see if you think it's going to be a fit for you. Thanks, Alyssa. Or Alyssa. I'm bad at names. Dan said, hey Lisa, how's life? Have you used Prismacolor Scholar colored pencils? Yes, and I do not like them at all. If I have to use a Prismacolor product, it's going to be Prisma Premier. I don't like the Scholar. I don't like anything about those. I've used them and they are both vibrant as well together as Premier. Also, happy belated. Yeah, the thing is, it's like just the way they blend, they just weren't my preference. I've had students bring them to me and, to use in class, and they were definitely a bit harder to blend and layer. Like I just didn't really like the results I got with them. Okay. So getting started. Now we're going to be painting trees around this area. I'm going to focus now though on getting the background. When I paint with acrylics, I like to paint whatever is furthest back and work my way forward. If I were to paint the trees, if you're a beginner, it is very normal for you to want to paint the foreground first. That was always was a joke with my students and I, like, can I paint the flowers yet? That would be in the foreground. Can I paint the flowers yet? Because that was what they were excited about, their reference photo, whatever was in the foreground. No, we want to work from the back forward, because if you paint those trees in, now you're having to paint around the trees. It's just going to be a hot mess. Let's just not even go there. Let's start with the background and work our way forward. Okay. So I'm going to start with white, and I'm going to have to rinse this brush a few times. I am using, this one is missing the label, Royal and Ling Nickel. I think I got this from Michael's. It looks like a Michael's label. This one is a tackle and bristled filbert. It is, I don't think does it say what number it is? This one's a number 8. So you can kind of see by my hand, not huge, but not small either. Too small is going to be a pain for you to do this with. So I'm going to start with my titanium white. I'm going to pull a bit of orange in there because I've got this peach. Now it's going to take me 2 layers to get my color saturation where I want it. Not a huge deal to me at this point if this does not come out quite right. Like not a huge deal at all. So the orange I'm going to pull up. I'm just going to let it kind of do the U, or an upside down U shape. Sad face. He's sad because he can't use his birthday coupons. I sound so petty complaining about that. I realize that, just so you know. Let's go ahead and rinse that brush because I want to get the white out of it now. If I go into the white, my magenta is going to be too pink, not really what I want. So I'm rinsing that color out of the brush since I added white to the orange. Now I'm going to jump into my magenta, and while it's still wet, let that blend in with the peach that's there. Okay, stay here. Now this is a Frederick's watercolor canvas board. Just for transparency, I am sponsored by Frederick's. They did provide me with this canvas, but they were already all I used. Not this specific canvas, Frederick's in general was all I used. So no change for me there other than that they provided me with a canvas I would have bought otherwise. So this is a watercolor canvas board, very, very smooth. So it is going to be a lot easier for me to blend than if you are at home using something that's a very rough canvas. So if you're using a rough canvas and you're thinking, oh my gosh, my blending is not doing what yours is doing, don't beat yourself up over that. The canvas is probably partially, at least very largely partially to blame. Now I'm going to use a mop brush. This one is a blush applicator. It's not even a actual mop brush, but the mop brush, they shed more. I really like these blush applicators. So we're just going to softly back and forth. I want to get a nice soft transition between my peach and that magenta. Now I could wait and do this blending once I get the blue in there, but this might start to dry and not blend that well. Now I'm just gonna smudge this up here to make sure any excess paint that got on my brush is getting wiped off. I could do it on a paper towel, anything is fine, but being that I'm gonna paint over that, may as well use that and not waste paper towels because good luck finding those these days. So I'm going to rinse that brush again to make sure any white that got on it gets off. I'm going to switch now to my blue. I am using ultramarine blue just because it was the first blue I grabbed. You could use primary blue, you could use phthalo blue, any blue you want, you are safe with. So, oops, I need a little bit more water mix. See how I don't know if it really shows on the video because usually the webcams tend to look smoother than they really are. But if you can see these dry areas, that is a signal that I need more water and more paint on my brush. I don't have enough of either. I'm starting to dry brush and we don't want that. Get more. So I'm gonna add a little bit more water to that so that it flows a bit better. There we go. Now I don't want to come too far into the magenta because I do want that magenta to come up, and I'm going to layer a bit more magenta after I get a bit of this blue in. Just get those edges. Make sure you get that paint all the way off to the edge. Now I'm going to scoop magenta just for this in between. I'm not even going to rinse that brush. I'm just going to go right in here, let that blend in. I'll get a purplish tone. Now I'm going to rinse this brush. I want to get all of the paint off of it so that I can blend that transition area right there. So just wipe that off and rinse it. So now my brush is clean. It just has a bit of water, and I'm going to use this just right in between here. This is not sitting well. Same thing, I've now got so much blue on there, I'm gonna rinse it again. We'll let that pull up just so that I don't have a harsh line to blend out later. Let's rinse that brush off. And I just wanna get a nice soft transition here. Now, I don't recommend jumping from that orange peach color straight into blue. If you do that, you're gonna get a muddy grayish weird tone. So having this magenta as your in-between color, you see how it turns when it meets the blue, it turns to purple. If I have the peach color hit that, it's going to turn to a weird grayish ugly tone. So we'll fan this out. And again, we're going to put another layer on top of this. So I don't care if this is perfectly blended right now. This is just getting that first bit on here. Now I'm going to fill the rest of that canvas in with blue. Add some water to that because that was getting a bit thick. Again, because we're going to go on with the stars, because we're going to go on with the trees, if you have areas that like, ooh, that looks terrible, you're going to fix it with, it's going to be hidden. You're not even going to see it. A lot of times people will think that something that's super simple, like maybe a painting just that fades evenly from the peach up to the blue and just that's it, would be easier because it doesn't have a lot of detail. No, that's a lot harder to make look good because there's nothing to hide any mistakes. I've got plenty of stuff that's going to hide mistakes on here. If I have a major mistake, I'll put a shooting star. Tons of things we can hide mistakes with when you've got kind of a busier concept going on. So don't be afraid to try things that seem like they're busy. They take a bit more time, but they're way easier to make look good. So I'm going to fill that in. Now I'm going to use the mop brush again, and then we'll dry this, and I'll get caught up on any questions we might have had. Now see, it's a little streaky. So here's the thing with Liquitex Basics. They are definitely like my go-to acrylic paint. And there are other acrylic paints out there that are fine, but I really like the Liquitex Basics because of the way that I glaze. These tend to be, they have it's like more filler in it, or I don't know, I'm making up words, so there's no science behind what I just said. But they're more, it's almost like they've got more mixing medium in them. They're a bit more translucent, which is perfect for me because I glaze. So I'm gonna rinse just the tip of that mop brush so that I can have it dry and ready to go. I'm just gonna flip this around. So that is why I really like them. The thing is, and this is where people don't like them. Oh, we're not getting, I'm having some internet issues it looks like, and I apologize. yeah, we've been having internet issues for a bit. I think everyone's working from home in the area, and it's being a little harder on AT&T than they would like it to be. But anyway, one of the reasons that people oftentimes do not like the Liquitex Basics is that, see how streaky it is? If you were to use like the Liquitex South Body, it's going to be more opaque. It's not going to be as streaky. I'm just gonna put another coat on it. I don't care, it's fine for me. So that is some of the reasons you'll often hear people complain. Yeah, YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. I apologize, guys. I have no way to fix that right now. But I will go ahead. I'm gonna actually dry this with the hairdryer, and then while it cools, I'll go ahead and get caught up on some questions. So plug your ears. I mean, assuming that's working at this point anyway. Okay, we're gonna let that cool. Now, if you use your hair dryer to dry things, make sure the canvas cools all the way before you start painting again. Acrylic paint dries very fast. You put that on top of a hot canvas, it's gonna dry that much faster. So we wanna let that set. Okay, let's see. Where were we? Where was I? Okay, Jason said, oh, talking about the grass, you have to level the ground and then get a seed or grass sod on top. My birthday was March 14th. Happy late birthday. I am wondering, am I just going to have a landscaper come out? Because they don't guarantee the landscaping they did here, but they do guarantee that water doesn't set. But because of how it did set, not for more than a couple of days, but the areas where it set is where the grass just died. It didn't come back at all. So I don't know if I need to, and I called the builder, but the builder said they're not doing any home warranty things right now. Hey, what the hell are you barking for? He's sleeping and hugging his toy. Gibson must have moved and Wade didn't like it. They're in separate beds. I don't know what that was all about. Anyway, I wonder if I need to just have a landscaper deal with it, which sucks because this was supposed to be like included in buying the house because it was a new build, but they did. I don't know if it was just the time of year or the fact that they used they did a terrible, it was mostly rock under the grass. Like the amount of rocks me and my neighbor pulled out of both of our yards is insane. But anyway, let's see. Where were we? Gypsy Heart said 2 questions left. Anybody said the back of UArt and Fisher 400 wasn't archival. Is that true for individual sheets as well, or just the mounted ones? No, it's absolutely true. It's the individual sheets I was talking about. That was a little bit disturbing to find whatever they're using on the back, it's not acid free. That eventually does affect what's on the front. And I don't know how they're claiming that it's archival. It's like, you wouldn't, like, let's say I draw something and then I use tape to tape it to the back of a mounted foam corp or a mat. I don't want to use a mat because it's going to touch the art that is not acid free. Even though the art is on acid free paper, I still need anything that touches it, anything that comes in contact with it needs to be acid free. The tape I use to tape it, I'm taping the back of the paper. The tape needs to be acid free or pH neutral. All of that has to, you can't just use any tape. It will eventually yellow what's on the front. And that's what concerns me. Is that going to happen with the sanded paper? I don't even know that they tested it. Sanded paper hasn't been out for that long. I haven't seen where it's affected it. So hopefully it won't anytime soon. We don't know, like, how long will it take? Inevitably, it will eventually cause problems. But how long? In 50 years? I'm not going to worry about it as much if it's not for 50 years that we see problems. 100 years? Not worried about it all at that point, but we don't know. So yeah, that's the sad thing about sanded paper, except for the Lux Archival. That's the only one that's acid-free, front, back, all portions of it are acid-free. So any artwork, like I will use, because I had a bunch of Fisher 400 and I'm just going to use those for little practices or tests or demonstrations. But if it's an art piece that I want to sell, definitely going to be using the Lux Archival. That just works better anyway. It's amazing paper. Let's see, which brand provides the darkest black colored pencil? I layer. I don't know that there's one darkest. I think if I want something really, I've not talked to either of you guys lately. We'll message Nick. I've messaged him more recently, it seems. Unable to connect to chat. It looks like I might be kind of back. I can't see chat at all. Okay, did mine come through? What is going on? It just says, it's telling me that chat is unable to connect. I don't know if it just means I missed any past. I'll just have some coffee. I wonder what happens if I refresh while streaming. I mean, the stream is still running. I think we're okay. Nope, we're buffering again. My husband will be done working at 9, and I don't know that that's affecting it if we have too many things on the internet right now. Oh, Stacy says I'm back. Okay. Good. Stacy, keep me updated. If I go out again, let me know. I'm just going to keep going and we'll pretend that nothing bad happened. So I'm going to do another layer and hopefully you guys are seeing this. It sucks because I can't, it's just not connecting to chat. What happens? Hold on. I'm going to try something really quick and see if I can get into chat this way. We actually have good internet, but it's just, there we go. Okay, there we go. I've got chat back. I guess I will have both windows open. Yeah, Danielle said everyone is home, there will be glitches. I think that's what's happening. I'd complain, but this is something we've never dealt with, so I can't really even bring myself to complain. You may also want to change your settings because the quality, I know YouTube said they're going to start, this is just a tip in general, they did say they're going to start keeping any videos at like 480p, like super low quality. So whenever you're watching a video on YouTube, if you need higher quality, if it's something that you do need to see better, you should be able to manually go in and change that. So I do apologize for any problems we're having. Jasmine, this is a canvas board. You can see that way. It's a Frederick's watercolor canvas board. There are lots of different canvas boards available. This is the only one that I trust or would use. Most of the ones that I've used before, I was getting them like Michael's and Hobby Lobby. They would warp so crazy bad. So, okay. Oh, I left my paintbrush with paint sitting on it. Don't do that. I don't recommend. Okay, let's see. See if my other chat ever came back on the other screen. Nope. Can I do anything to make that go? Pop out chat? What happens if I do that? Oh, did it work? It worked. Okay, that would be easier for me. Let me pull that back up. And there we go. I guess if I just do that, that will work. Okay. Gypsy Heart said, I also bought the full pan pastel set and saw you use the soft tools with graphite piece. Can I use them for graphite and go back to using the same tool for pastel? You can use the same plastic tool, but you would need to switch the cover. And you're going to switch those covers fairly often, get extra of those. They only last so long. So no, you wouldn't like use it on pastels and then back to graphite. The color would get on it. You would want to switch the cover, but you can use the same, like the blue handle tool. You can use that for both. You just switch the cover in between. Okay. Can you use watercolor paper? Jasmine wants to know. If you don't have a canvas, what I would recommend doing if you've got gesso, tape the paper, like watercolor paper, tape it to a board like you would if you were gonna watercolor. Tape it to that board with masking tape and then use gesso. Put a coat of gesso over it, let it dry. Now you can paint on it normally. But if you were to try to paint just on the watercolor paper itself without gessoing it, the paint is going to soak into the paper. You're not going to do glazes. You're going to get some questionable results. But I mean, paint with what you've got at this point and have fun with it. But if you've got gesso, put the gesso down and that makes the watercolor paper suitable for acrylics. Okay, so I'm going to repeat what I did here. I don't need to mix a bunch of white anymore because that's already got that mixed in with it. So we'll just start with a bit of orange. We'll get some magenta. We're going to try to keep the magenta out of or blue out of this. And I'm not worried, as you can see, this isn't the same color as my reference photo. That's just a guideline to give us an idea of what we're going for here. Rinse that, grab some orange. Jason said, there goes my recent purchase for canvas board. You know, I used them. I wouldn't recommend them for stuff that you're going to sell because I have had a lot of problems with those over the years. The ones, but like I have cheap ones that I used for gifts that I used to give for people. I used the cheap ones for demonstrations. I used watercolor canvas boards still, but I used them for cheap demonstrations for, when I used to teach classes in person. And I used to give those, I actually still have some of them, but I'd give them away come Christmas because, you know, starving artists, I don't have money for gifts. So I would give them away to family members, and some of my family members still have those. They put them in a frame and it does flatten them out and keep them from being too out of shape. So that is an alternative that you can do. Still not my preference, but it is a way that you can use them and it's good for practice. So that may be an option for you. Sergio said, how come we haven't seen a full review of the Faber-Castell watercolor pencils yet on YouTube? You know, so the Faber-Castell thing was kind of weird because they had me doing videos that were specifically for them. And I was working on those, and then they weren't really giving, like I wasn't sure what they wanted as far as the editing goes, because at first they said they were going to edit it, and then they were like, well, just put this header in it. I don't know. I didn't even know, like, the videos were not, we'll say they weren't up to my standard. I didn't like the way that they were coming out with what they had sent over, but the girl who was in charge of it left. And no one ever contacted me about what they wanted. So like I was paid by all those supplies. Those supplies were payment for work from them. They were not just like some free gift like some people like to accuse me of, getting free supplies. That was payment for work. And I did a lot of the videos for them, but then they didn't edit or use them as far as I know. And so I just kind of put everything on hold with the supplies. I feel almost guilty using them, being that they didn't get back to me about the videos that I was supposed to make for them. So I don't, I do need to make a specific review though. I'm glad you brought that up. That is actually something I should probably do soon. But I was kind of putting that on hold, waiting for them to get their portion done. But then it was like, I don't even know anymore. So yeah. So now you see how much less streaky this one is than the first time through? And we're going to I'm going to mix a little bit of black in with some of this blue. Mix those together so I get this kind of indigo color. A little too much black there. Add some water. I'm going to go around the edge, darken that up. I'm going to come back over this with blue again once that dries, just on the upper section. We'll blend that out. Like I said before, don't care if it's got some streaks. It really doesn't matter for what we're doing. This does not need to be perfect. Okay, I'm going to dry this, put another coat of blue over the black I just put so that it's not too flat. And then we can start with the Milky Way. doing, when you see me continuously touch the canvas, I'm feeling to feel if it's very tacky or sticky. I know it's not dry enough yet. So that's why you keep seeing me touch the canvas as I'm drawing it. Let's see. Hi, Gail. Crystal said, hi, Lisa, would you please tell me what type of tape you use to tape down your drawings and how you keep it from tearing when you peel it off? I use an artist tape. I've actually got it right here. It's a black masking tape, and this is pH neutral. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it from, I think Dick Blick has it. Probably, I'd assume Jerry's Artorama, but it's a pH neutral or acid-free masking tape. And what I do, if it's not coming off easy enough on its own, if it feels like it's gonna tear the paper, take your hairdryer and add heat, and it'll come off much easier. And when you do remove it, always pull away from your artwork. Don't pull in. If you pull in, you're really likely to tear. Always pull away. And that way, if it does tear a little, it's not ripping into the piece. So, but if you're adding heat, it should come off really easy. I think one of you guys, was it Joseph who told me about that? One of you guys told me about the heat trick, and I was like, wow, I never thought of that. But it works really well. Robbie said, where do you buy the Strathmore individual sheets? I don't. I'm not sure. I don't buy the Strathmore in individual, do I? No. I don't think I have anything in Strathmore that's individual sheets. Where were we? Sergio said, I don't think you should be bothered. They're last, not yours. Is that arthritis still bothering you? Really eager for some pencil streams. It's getting better. Absolutely getting better. But I think with Faber-Castell, I just need to contact them. I think if I reach out to them, we'll get that all sorted. But when that person left, I have a feeling her projects just kind of got dropped. So, I got paid either way. So it's like I got my side. I just feel guilty that they didn't get from me what they paid for, essentially, by providing the supplies. So anyway, but yeah, the arthritis is still bad. I think I'd be okay with watercolor pencils. Anything where I have to add a lot of pressure, like Inktense right now, I have to kind of hold off on. That was definitely painful painting that red panda the other day. Let's see, Clark Fine Art said, what is the reference photo from? It came from Pixabay, and then I adjusted it to make it super bold in Photoshop. Danielle said, I can't paint with you tonight. I'm nursing a bad arm. Oh no, I think I strained it from doing too much painting. Have you ever experienced that? Not from painting. I've made it sore from like colored pencil where I was because before I found OMS with colored pencil, I used to burnish everything. So pushing really hard, that used to cause a lot of pain, and I wouldn't be able to do colored pencil like every day because of it. But painting, I haven't. I hope you heal fast. Joanna said, do you paint the sides of your canvas? If yes, what color? Black or just extend the colors in the picture? It depends. In this case, there's no real edge because it's a canvas board. But yes, I do on normal canvases. Like I've got a tiger on my wall. It was a dark painting. The whole thing is very dark, so I just painted the edges black, and it's not a super thick canvas. Other ones, if black works, I will use it. But like if I painted a pink, like pink sky, a lot of pink, I'm not going to use black. It's too easy for that black to accidentally get on the front, and then the contrast is too high, and I don't recommend it. I would, in that case, whatever the main color of the painting is, especially a lighter painting anyway, I would continue that color around the canvas. Now, if it's a thick canvas, then it will just continue the painting around the edge. So I recently painted my neighbor's dog, and it was a very thick canvas, so I continued what was on the front all the way around the edges, both the dog, the fur there, and the background color of the canvas. So it just depends on the situation. There's no like one right or wrong answer, but I don't like just black. I used to just do black for everything, but all my work was really dark. And then when I started doing stuff that has lighter edges, I'd be better off just leave the white edges. Actually, I have one hanging here that has white edges. I didn't paint those ones at all. I would rather do that than have black accidentally get on the front. And I see that a lot where people do the edges, but they're very messy with it. And that gets on the front of the painting, and it really makes it look like low quality. So in that case, I would way rather the artist have left, not even continued the painting around the edges. And if you're going to put it in a frame, it's going to cover those edges anyway. So you don't have to paint the edges. It can make it look nicer if you choose the right color and you're careful not to get that edge paint on the front. It depends on the situation. Let's see. Steve said, do you know if pastel mat is archival on the back? I don't know. I've not tested that, but I should definitely check that. Yeah, I've not heard one way or another. Let's let's see. Okay, so I do want to put one more coat of blue up here because it was fairly translucent, and that will help the black not to be too like dead in color there. We'll just put it over these edges. Okay, so working on the galaxy, I mentioned when we started, there are two ways that you can achieve this. One is to hand paint it, and it will take a lot longer. I'm going to show you how to do that, and I'm not going to finish it that way because it does take a lot longer, but it is definitely one of the ways that you can go. Let's go ahead and just fan that out and dry that. So one of the things that I used to do when I would paint, like looking at my galaxy reference photo, I would pick, like I can see there's a light blue and a light purple, and I would try to mix those colors and paint that in for, I find that that makes more work for me. I find it to be much easier. Just paint those lighter areas of white for now, and then glaze purples and blues over it. So much faster, so much easier. So let's go ahead. I'll just use a round brush. It doesn't really matter what brush you use, just grab one. You can get a similar effect if your canvas is smooth enough by dry brushing. Now, I don't like dry brushing. I don't like the end result with that, but it is an option, and you're gonna glaze over it anyway and put stars over it, so it wouldn't be as obvious. So maybe I'll show you that third way. Let's go ahead, hold on one second. Do I need this? Nope. Let's see. Sergi said, the video you posted the other day, Wade going haywire and Gibson couldn't be bothered. Where my heart. Good luck to your back garden with those two racing noodles going turbo. Yeah, they're definitely hard on the grass, but I worry about the grass not being level because, I mean, there are big dips in that. They really did a horrible job on that yard. But I worry, the front is fine. It's the back that's the problem. Of course, the one that I care more about. But I do not want them twisting an ankle. I've known of too many greyhounds who had to have legs amputated because of a break because they run so hard. And if it's not low, yeah, so I gotta figure that out. Let's see, Christy, let's see. Where were we? Oh, the buffering is bad tonight. And if that question didn't come through, let me know. It's buffering now. It may not come through now. What I just said, I don't know. How do I keep myself motivated when painting if things aren't going the way you want them to? That alone makes me motivated. If they're not going the way I want to, I'm going to work till they do go the way I want them to. That is like very big motivation for me if it looks like crap to work through it so that it can start looking good again. I mean, just the knowledge that it's going to get better. Oops, I just scrolled. Oh yeah, if I restore chat, it just doesn't. Wow, this is a hot freaking mess tonight. Yeah, video is lost and it's back for now. I really apologize. I know this is a rough night for this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take white paint. I'm going to thin it with some water, and I'm going to start building up the texture of the Milky Way in here. So we'll just put some paint in there, kind of smudge it. I'm going to have a stiff round brush. We'll get it a little bit damp so that the paint moves around a bit better. I'm just going to smudge that out. And this would be how I would hand paint in this texture. If it starts to, like it's drying on me right now, too fast. I don't know why it's drying that fast. Just add a little bit more water. Too much water and you start erasing what you just did. And it is very important. I can't stress this enough. It is so important that your painting be completely dry. If it is not, you're going to start lifting that blue paint, which if it happens, it's not the end of the world. Paint blue over. It's fine. But that is how I would go through painting the texture to get, and you don't want to scrub too much because that'll be more likely to lift paint too, but let's forward this. It looks like it caught up where I left off. Okay. Okay, good. So I think we're good. I'm gonna do a little, I was gonna jump straight to the airbrushing section of this, but I don't know where exactly it cut off. So I'm gonna do a little bit more by hand before we move on. Oh, I hope we can finish this tonight. If we can't, I will post on Instagram and Facebook and MeWe and everywhere, letting you guys know when we will finish it. I may just start from scratch if I have to, so that it's a full, complete video. But one way or another, we're getting through this. But I would let you guys know if this keeps happening. If we do have to postpone, I'll let you know when. I was tempted to go run out there while it was off and get a glass of wine and just be sitting here with my wine, like drink out of the bottle or whatever when it came back on. I thought it would be hilarious, but I ran out of time. Okay, so I'm taking white. I'm adding water. I'm thinning that out. And I'm going to just kind of pick spots that I want to create this look of the Milky Way. And then I'm going to smudge it out a bit, just on the edges. Don't overblend this. Oops, my brush has a bit too much water, so I kind of lost my shape. We'll let that dry a bit. And then we're going to add more, pull it down. And you've got to play around with how much water your brush has. That one looks like a cloud. We're going to smudge that out a bit more. When we put the stars over it, that'll help give us more of that Milky Way type look. That whole area is so wet. I'm just going to blend that out. You don't have a good balance of paint versus water right now. And just keep smudging and creating these textures. Now, if you have an airbrush, watch how fast this goes. So you can keep going on and finishing this way to get your Milky Way. Now this is too bright right now. It'll dry and then we'd glaze over it, so it's fine. But here's a way easier way. I said it was something important. Any tips on painting bubbles? Yes, watch my how to paint bubbles video. That's the best tip I can give you. That one walks you through a really basic, easy bubble to paint. If you just do a Google search for Lachri and bubbles, it should come up. It was I think it was my first like tutorial here on YouTube. It's really old, but the information would be the same. Now, let's see if I can, where did I put my airbrush paint? Here it is. Oh, I didn't bring my, 1 second, I'm missing something. Airbrush flow improver. I can't talk. I'm all flustered from all the things right now. Okay. The water out of that. There's a couple drops of flow improver. Now I'm going to use, and I don't have it here, but if you go to my website, lachri.com, under supplies for acrylic paint, go down. There's a link to a template that I'm going to use. It's the FX Effects airbrush stencil. I'm going to use, whoa, that is open. Hold on, I need to figure out where that all spilled and make sure that did not get all over my tile floor. I shook it and the paint just shot out. I heard it land. Where did it land? Oh, it'll probably just chip off the floor. Oh, here it is. I am a mess tonight. Okay, trying that again. Let's close the bottle before we shake it this time. Okay, couple drops of white. By a couple drops, I actually meant a little squirt. It was more than a couple drops. But these are the FX stencils, and I love these for spacing. So if you have an airbrush, this would be the way that I would go. And even if you don't have a dual action airbrush, like a cheapy single action, that technically is, this is one of the few things that would work well because you're using stencils. But you've got a few different shapes that you can use to create this. This is kind of my go-to. This guy's my favorite. But we're going to just airbrush the white. Oh, the white comes out. Come on, there we go. And see how, I now get this super easy galaxy so fast. Now you can go through and hand paint in like I showed you here. You're just going to get some of the smaller sections. So easy to do though with an airbrush, but you can do it without. If you do not have an airbrush, don't feel like you can't finish this project. You're just going to take your time and hand paint and smudge and hand paint and smudge. But we're going to skip through, do a lot more of that. There we go. That one is probably good enough. I'm just gonna lighten some of this because I'm gonna glaze or airbrush a little bit of blue over it. Some of this I do want to lighten up, so I'm just cheating. You can do this with painting and just smudge like I showed you a moment ago. Let's pull a little bit more back there. I'm gonna pull this right off the canvas. There we go. Okay, now I've got to clean this. I'm not ready for this. I don't have my airbrush cleaning pot. I am so one of those days. Let's just dump it into this and try not to pull my camera down, which I think I almost did. Yes, another way you can do that's actually, Rhonda just had a good suggestion. You could use a sponge and get something very similar and almost stamp it. There are a million ways to get to the same end. So don't ever feel like if you see me do it one way, that doesn't mean it's the only way. This is my favorite way for sure by airbrushing, but you can do it with, you could take a sponge and dab that on. We're gonna do so much detail over it. There are so many ways to paint. Never let somebody tell you their way is the only way, because it absolutely is not. Let's get a little bit of blue. Or I can just glaze over that. We won't even need to airbrush it. I am going to feed a bit of airbrush cleaner through this though, although I do need to pull this apart to soak it. Okay. Next, I need to make sure that's dry all the way. So I'm going to go ahead and take the hairdryer out. Sergio said, I'm not sure if you ever mentioned, but how did you and Mr. Matthew meet? Was it love at first brush stroke situation? No, we met at a pool hall through mutual friends. This is before internet wasn't really a thing when we met. We're that old. So we met through mutual friends. We were all playing darts, and that's how we met. So yeah, we started talking because he's an artist. He does comic book style. Well, if you can ever get him, he doesn't draw anymore, but he did at the time. And so that was kind of the thing that got us talking, and he's really, really funny. So that was what really drew me to him. I definitely like the sense of humor. Just people in general. I like to be around funny people. So yeah, that is how we met. Shaz said, I have an airbrush, but I have not been able to find these style stencils for galaxies. Is it possible for a link to where I can buy it? I'm in Australia. Yes. Well, it's an Amazon link, so it'd be the US link, but you should be able to search it that way. The link is on my website. So go to my website, lachri.com. Up at the top, you've got supplies. Click that, then go down to airbrush supplies, and there's a link there. I should have put it in this video, but I was going to initially I thought I'd hand paint everything. I didn't realize we were going to be kicked off the internet all night long, and I wouldn't be able to finish if I tried to hand paint this. But it's over there. Juliana Clark said, will a toothbrush and a watery mix or spont to run across work? Most of us may not have an airbrush. Well, what I just showed you, that's why I did the first method first, where you can use it with the paint it and then smudge it around. You don't have to use an airbrush. You would continue the way I started, where I put it on there, took a second brush and smudged it out. That's one way. A sponge could definitely be an effective way to do this as well. You're going to get a different result, but it can give you the same, it'll still look like a spacey look. So yes, you can do it one of many, many ways. That definitely could work for you. We'll be putting stars over this, so that'll help. And so like where I hand painted it in, even if I didn't do a good job, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be putting stars over this. It's going to hide a lot. So hand painting it like I first showed you, if you don't have an airbrush, that's an option, or you can play around with a sponge. Definitely could work too. Let's see, but good question. Where were we? I am painting a gift for a friend that loves Ninja Turtles, but struggling with darks being dark enough. Thanks to you. With the orange mask, any advice? I love your teachings, by the way. I'm not super familiar with Ninja Turtles. Like I know what they are, but I can't picture an orange mask, so I'm not sure what that is. Is it the mask isn't dark enough? I would post it over in our art group and ask for suggestions there. You'll have a lot that way. It's easier if you could see it. We could give you advice. let's see, have I tried dipping crumbled papers? Would that work too? Yeah, you could definitely do that. Like there are so many ways. There's no one right way. You're gonna figure out what works best for you. But I mean, off the top of my head, I could probably think of 10 different ways to make the galaxy work. So I showed you 2 tonight. One where you hand brush it, because most people are gonna have a brush and then, you know, another brush to smudge it out. That's one way. Another way would be to just dry brush. Let me do a little bit of a sample of that. I don't want to go too far into it because I do want to finish this tonight and we're having some troubles. So there we go. So I'm going to just take a stiff brush. I'm going to use a little bit of water, not too much. Get the paint on there. I'm actually going to kind of dry that out. And I'm just going to scrub this in areas where I might, this is too wet, it's not dry at all. You can just kind of smudge it out where you want that texture. Now on mine, it doesn't really look like dry brushing because my canvas is so smooth. If you've got a rough canvas, it's just gonna hit the top of the tooth of the canvas, so yours will look bumpier. But this is definitely a way where I just kind of go through and well, dry brush. There's not a lot of paint. There's hardly any water, very dry, and I'm just putting that in there. So that's a third way that you can do this. So there's 3 I've shown you now. Airbrush is one, but I know a lot of you don't have an airbrush. So you don't, you know, I had to finish mine that way because if we're going to finish tonight, I need to move that forward. But you can come back and finish your sky later. You've got enough, even if you paint the trees, like if you come back to it, once you paint the trees, you can still come back and finish this after. We've got the main color. This part needed to be done before the trees. Okay. Now I'm going to, well, this will lift it because that's not dry all the way. But let's go ahead and take a little bit of paint, a little bit of blue with some water. I can just go right over if I want to tone some of this down. If you've got an airbrush, you could just airbrush a bit of blue over this. But I can get some color. I could use a little bit of purple if I want, or make a bit of purple. But this has to have water, and don't mix white in with this if you're doing the glaze. But see how I can just kind of wipe that over it and tint the color to whatever I want. Now we're going to go ahead and put stars in. And again, I don't expect any of you to be at this stage I'm ready to go to. Come back and finish this part later. Okay, I need a stiff round brush. Let's see if this is the best I've got in here. You can also use a toothbrush, an old toothbrush, hopefully one you don't currently need. That one's really stiff. So these brushes, this one is super damaged. Look, it doesn't even bend. Like half of the brush doesn't bend. It's really, really damaged. Don't throw out your damaged brushes. Sometimes those damaged ones will give you better results than what you're going to get otherwise. Okay, or with like a healthy brush. I'm going to use a palette knife. You could use your finger to flip if you want, but palette knife keeps my hands a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to thin white paint. Actually, I'm going to mix a little bit of blue. I'm going to do this in 2 stages. So I've got some blue stars, some light blue stars, and then I'll have some white stars. So I've got a bit of blue in there. And I'm going to pull the palette knife towards me. It doesn't matter what kind of palette knife, you just need something stiff. I could do this with my finger too. But it's very important. Palette knife towards you. Do not push away or you will have stars in your face, which is hilarious, but not going to give you the results you probably want. We're going to flick that. If your brush is too soft, this won't work. I'm going to get a bit more blue. Actually, I want a bigger brush. I'm going to wash this one off. This one's a little bit too small. It's going to take me way too long. Let's switch to a slightly larger brush. This one is a round brush. It's not flat like the other one, but it's a bit larger, so that should give me a bit more white, a bit more blue. I think I'm going to need some more water, though. Yeah, definitely need a bit more water in that. It's not flicking well. You just kind of play around with it, get a good balance so that it starts doing what you want it to do. More water should give me bigger droplets. Yeah, see, there's some nice big stars in there. Get some variation. Now, the reason that I'm going with blue on some of this and not just white everywhere is this will make it look like some of those stars are further back when this dries. Right now on camera, it's probably going to look a little whiter than I need, but yeah, I'm going to wipe off, though. I don't need blue stars over the orange. I'm just going to take a clean brush and wipe that off about where I don't want it. No blue stars on orange. That doesn't look like stars. And just to get rid of, where did my mop brush go? I'm losing things now. It's not in my hand. It's usually the first place I need to look. Half the time when I'm looking for something, it's in my hand at the time. Huh. I lost it. Oh, there it is. I'm just gonna fan out where I got the smudges. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to white. So I will rinse the blue stars off there. We'll just do white with some water. Now the white I'm going to let come down into the orange. You want to try to create little groupings, like where it's a little bit thicker on certain areas. You get these clusters. You don't just want even polka dots everywhere. That just looks like polka dots. And that's one of the reasons I prefer to splatter. I have a tendency to get a more natural look if I splatter than if I try to hand paint. I used to try to hand paint, but I was just really bad at making everything look like just straight polka dots. I wasn't good at that method. You can do it that way, but not for me. See, now any streaks that we had that were a little out of control, you don't even notice them now. Now, if you've made your stars, you can still go back on. I could decide I want to make this a little bit brighter. I can come back and rework parts of that galaxy too. You can't go back, like you're not limited to being able to go back to an area if you want to rework something. You absolutely can. Okay, we're gonna let that dry and then we can start trees. Trees are easy, just black paint. Yeah, Sergio says it sounds like you've got many stars on your face throughout the years. I've done it to myself a couple of times, but I've seen students do it so many times. But yes, I have gotten myself a couple times, that's how I know. Let's see. Sergio said, do you think Derwent kind of managed to tackle two problems with the light fast range? The small range of drawing and the light fast issues of Pro Color. Yeah, they did. They really, like, what is the term, knocked it out of the ballpark? That's how that goes? I don't know, I'm really bad at those sayings. They did an amazing job with the Derwent Light Fast pencils. Really happy with those. Vivian said, I may have missed your answer because of the buffering, but do you have any tutorials on white fur on Lux sanded paper? No, not yet. I will, I'm sure, eventually, but not yet. But I mean, it would be the same. The way that I would attack the white fur is going to be the same. Like I did a polar bear with pan pastels and then some colored pencil over it. But I would still do the fur the same way, choose the same colors, like whatever paper it is. So even if you find something I did in acrylics, you can still use that to understand the colors and how the fur is clumping and clustering together for any medium on any surface. Let's see. Okay, we're caught up there. I guess I can hair dry this. This is going to take a while to let those dry. Okay, so the dimensions of my reference photo are not the same as the dimensions of my canvas, obviously, so that is going to be a little bit different. What I'm going to do is take a white charcoal pencil. You don't have to do this. You could just make your lines just straight with black, which I will do after. But what I want to do is just mark in about how far up I want some of these trees to come and at the angle that I want them to come. I really like and I'm going to make mine possibly more extreme than that. I love the camera angle where all the trees are, like if it was taken with a GoPro where it's like super, the fisheye lens where it's like everything comes in, and I really want to capture that on this one. So I'm using the pencil just to kind of get an idea of where I want my general trees. They don't need to be exact at all. I just want to have an idea of where the angle that I want them coming in at. That's probably pretty good. Now I will come through, and I don't even know if that showed for you because this light is just, it's not good. But I'm going to go ahead and put that guy down and see what brush I want to do this with. Now this is these type of trees are the one thing that I do like fan brushes for. And a fan brush, I don't know if I have one in here. I wouldn't have the right size, so I'm sure I won't use it regardless. But the fan brush, here we go. This is a fan brush, and you will not see me use these very often. If I do use them, this one is a tack on bristle. I really hate those. Here's another tack on bristle fan brush that has my hair all over it. Classy. I don't know why that's in with my brushes. But these are fan brushes, and these work really well, especially if you're working a bit larger for creating trees back and forth. I really do like this type of brush, but I prefer the synthetic hog hair over the Taklon. I think these are a bit too soft. I don't know if I've got any small. I bought some a while back, but I don't know where they ended up. So what I'm going to use instead, though, for this, because this is smaller than what those brushes, I would need a much smaller version to make that work on this size. I'm just going to use a flat brush and work my way back and forth. This is a fairly stiff brush. We'll use a couple of different ones. Let's see, what are my other acrylic brushes? And we'll just grab a few brushes and see what happens. Okay, so again, this is a flat, so it's fairly stiff. I don't like the Taklon bristle. It's just a little too soft because we're going to be dabbing this. You'll often hear me tell you, don't stab your canvases. It's going to be one of those times we kind of stab some stuff, which is fitting for the night we've had. Vivian said, where would I find your polar bear tutorial? Just do a search on YouTube, Lachri and polar bear, and it'll come up. I've got a couple of them I've done with colored pencil. I have one that's swimming. I've got one that's done, and that one was with pan pastels on sanded paper, and then there was colored pencil, and then there was another one that was just colored pencil against an airbrush background. But you should get both of those should come up. How do I mix mineral spirits with my paint and get a good consistency? Also, any tips on taking photos of oil paintings without getting a glare? Without a glare, you just have to position it just right and have to have the right lighting in the room. You're going to try it all over your house till you find the right angle to not have you. Obviously, you don't want light coming directly behind it. I just play with it in different locations. That works best for me. Different angles, different everything to just get everything perfect. I've also used for the big photography, what are they called? The big shield thingies. God, I sound like an idiot. What are they? Why can't I think right now of anything? I'm very flustered tonight, if you can't tell from all the problems we've been having. The filters, those big round filter type things, you can get them for fairly inexpensive on Amazon, and use those to kind of hide the glare. So I'll use like the white one, so the light comes through, but it's diffused. So diffuser, that would be one. Reflectors, diffusers. I've used that to help a lot. But as far as how do you mix mineral spirits I don't mix mineral spirits with my paint almost ever. I mix liquid. So I'm not the one to ask there because that's not how I paint with oils. That doesn't mean you can't do it. Lots of artists do. It's just not my preference. So I can't really give you tips there because it's not something I enjoy, or, not the way I work. Okay, now I do want to get a smaller brush we can use for the black. We're just going to make some centers for where our trees are going to be. And if you didn't do the step with the what's it called? The white charcoal pencil, you would just be jumping to this. Now, you don't have to come at this angle. If this angle doesn't interest you, you can make yours go straight up, whatever you like. But if you're going to go straight up, make sure they don't just go straight across the canvas. Get some variation in there on your trees. And I like to do this first. This helps me to control so that I don't get so crazy that I just have one big black blob at the bottom. These would be my trunks. You're going to hide them. It doesn't matter if they're perfectly straight or anything like that. This is going to get covered. Okay, that should work. Maybe another little guy back here. Okay, we're going to go with that. We'll rinse that brush off now. Now, this is another area where diffusers, yeah, Monica got that, where there are many different ways to paint the trees. I could continue with this small brush, this little round brush. If I want to, I can just use him and dab in to create the look. And this is going to give me a bit more control, but I can use that to start getting the trees in if you're comfortable with that. And see, I'm just kind of dabbing, getting little squiggles, little dabs. Now, when you do this, whatever brush you do, the thing you want to watch is that you are letting the background show through in between some of these branches. We don't want, here, let's just move him to the side for a second, actually. Mark where he is, so I put him in the same spot. But what we don't want when you do trees is this. This is terrible. That is what children are going to do. My channel's not for children. Just throwing that out there, FTC, FCC, F something. That's actually kind of fitting. What we want to do is create this kind of dabbed look. So let's say there's the tree. See how you've got areas that are coming through. You can see in this case the white showing through, but in that one it'll be the blue. We want those areas. We want to get that natural look with the branches. We don't want a triangle. We don't want that perfect, you know, blob. This is not geometry. I don't know. That's not the right word. Let's see. Do I have you back where you go? Move you over a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put that brush. So that's one way you can do this if you want to take your time. Just like when we did the galaxy, you can take your time, go really slow, be very methodical, be very controlled in how you paint those trees. You definitely can do it that way. Or we can take a brush. This one is stiff. It's going to be kind of bumpy. Add some water again. Still going to load with black. Now these, it can be very easy to get too globby, so be careful with that. But I'm going to just go through and start dabbing. I want to twist and turn. I can kind of push the brush, get some variation in there. And as I get down into here, this gets solid when I get down to the solid base of the forest where there's a lot of trees overlapping. Joanna said, is it possible to use a flat brush for painting the tree leaves? Yeah, that's what I'm using right now. This is a flat, but it's old and damaged, so you can see it's kind of frayed. That's what I'm using now. So we're just kind of dab through here. And make sure you're leaving that sky showing through. That is so, so important. I mean, even when I get down to where I'm starting to be more solid, I'm still going to leave little bits of that here and there. More solid when I get down here. The solid kind of comes on this one to about here. So I know I can just paint that black. We've got a guy over here. Zigzag that back and forth. Oh, Joanne said, sorry, I meant a fan brush. Yes, if you've got a fan brush that is small enough, absolutely. Fan brushes are great. This is the one thing I love fan brushes for. And I know I bought one that was super small that was specifically for this. Let me see if I can find it. Gibson, shut up. Wade's rolled over on his back with his paws in the air. It's Gibson who's warning him. He doesn't want him anywhere near. Actually, let's take a photo for this. I'll post it later because it's actually really cute. We've got some, we're working on who's the boss dog and little, you know, their boundaries. They didn't get a walk today, and I found that really exhausting the two. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a new greyhound. We adopted a second one, and he's he's laying with his arms out. But they are still going through the who's going to be in charge stage, and we did not walk today because it was 93 degrees. We'll be doing that tomorrow. They do much better when they're exhausted, so got to keep an eye on that. Let me see if I can find the fan brush because that would be, I would like to show you how that would work. I've got two places I can check. Hold on one second. You comfy? Your tongue is sticking out. Well, I found it, but it is bigger than I thought it was. We'll just go ahead and try. So this one is a synthetic hog-haired fan. Did I not get a smaller one? So it's a number 2. I would rather, I could have sworn I had a small one somewhere. Hold on. Climb under my easel. One second. Oh, I found it. I did see one. The excitement is real. It must have come in one of my little, no, this one came from Michael's. So here's a smaller one. This one is actually a much better size for what I'm going to do. So fan brush is one way, so we're going to do the same thing. And now here you have to be careful. You're not going to go in just straight in. It's going to be too big in this case. So I'm going to come at an angle and only use one edge of this as I start working my kind of zigzag back and forth. Got a bit too much water on there. I think on this size, I find the flat brushes to be a little bit easier to control. If you're working on a bigger canvas, oh my gosh, doing trees with a fan brush is so nice on a large canvas. go. Remember, we've got to kind of zigzag. We want branches, we want sections coming out further than others. Let's see. Sam said, I grew up with Bob Ross. Do you paint happy accidents? Absolutely. Who doesn't though? Love Bob Ross shows, still do. Yeah, he did so much for getting people started with art. Great. Like, I'm so glad for that show. If it weren't for him, a lot of people never would have been brave enough to try art. He really did a good job simplifying and making something pretty. Clark said, 93, oh my, we are expecting up to 17 inches of snow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's going to cool off a bit tomorrow. I think it's going to be in the 70s, so it'll be more suitable for daytime walking. Yeah, wow. Kelly said, that's why I can't do Texas. It was 65 today in Utah, and I almost felt hot after I walked my dog. It was so lovely. Anything above 75, and I wilt like a flower. I hate the heat. Yeah, I usually walk nights when it's like in the summer. I don't walk in the day at all. The ground is too hot for the dogs anyway, so I have to wait till the sun goes down. But one thing I don't like about, and I love Texas, but the one thing I don't like, we don't cool off. Like in California, you cooled off at night. Sun started to go down 5 p.m. or so, and the sun it's still up, but it's going down. You get a cool breeze come through. It's really nice. You can comfortably sit outside. Not in Texas. We don't cool down. So if it's like, say it's 95 in the day, it's probably going to be 81, 82 at the coolest part of the night in the summer. So that is... yeah, that's one of the very few complaints. That and our winters are very ugly here. Everything just turns brown. I love spring though. At least for those of you who have snow, it's pretty. It's cold, but it's pretty. We don't get that. We're just cold and brown. Like my backyard right now. I'm a little bitter about that grass situation. Okay. So see how I'm turning this side to side and just kind of being a little bit more delicate with it than I would if I were on a big canvas. I can really, make a larger version of this tree. Are my neighbors outside laughing? Something's happening out there. To see how I'm getting these sections just back and forth. Don't do rows though. And I'm actually going to move this in a second and show you some examples of what not to do. So we want to fill in solid down here. Now I've got a little bit too much water. I'm going to use the hairdryer before that runs. Should be fine. And I want to show you a couple of things of what not to do with trees before we finish this up. So you're using the fan brush. What we want to do, we've got that center line. Well, let's pretend it's a line. And we're going to zigzag back and forth. We want to get variation. We want branches that stick out a bit further than others. We don't want, like this again. The other thing you don't want to do, so see how we've got some variation as we work down. This is something that I've seen people do a lot when they're starting. You've got your line and they just do this row. This doesn't look good. That doesn't look like a tree. I don't know what that looks like, but it's not a tree. So watch that. This is more what we're trying to create. And mine's getting really frayed, so it's a little bit harder to control on something this size. It would be better on a bigger canvas for this size brush. But don't just do straight across rows like this. It's not cute. Doesn't look like a tree. Don't do solid triangles like that. I could fix this though. If you get a solid triangle, break it up. Get some poofy branches sticking out. He's going to end up larger to do it, but see how we can fix that a bit. But we don't just do straight rows. That doesn't look natural. We want to get variation in there. Monica said, massive ice storms that coat the trees is gorgeous. Yes, I've seen photos. I've not seen it in person. I've seen that firsthand when it coats the trees. It's breathtaking. Yeah, at least you get the pretty in the cold. Our cold is just ugly. So we can just kind of make a few that don't have as many branches sticking out. We want variation. These are not all the exact same type of pine tree. but I can't stress enough the importance of letting bits of that sky show through. You will kill the effect if you overdo this. And sure, you can come back with the sky color and dab that in. So, you know, if you go too heavy handed, so you can kind of fix it, but it's just better not to fill in too much. Do less and add more if needed. This brush is super cheap and losing its shape badly. I'm going to intentionally not clean it well. I'm going to leave a little bit of paint on it. It'll work better next time I need to use it. Okay, one of the things I'm going to do now is take my other brush that I have a little bit more control with. You can take either brush, you can take the flat one, we can take this one here, and let's just define some of these leaves a bit better, or little clumps. Sam said, I like your interpretation of this one because you can see more of that beautiful sky and its colors. Thanks. See how you can just kind of pull some of this out where I was having a little bit of trouble because that brush was a bit too large. I don't want to go crazy with this. I just want to get a bit more variation because the trees were starting to all look about the same. Get a little bit more solid in a few of these areas. And that's about it for this guy. You can go a little bit more solid up here. I didn't think we'd finish this one tonight with the internet problems. Luckily, this is the faster of the two projects. So if you don't know already, if you're not signed up to my email newsletter, you probably wouldn't know. So you should probably sign up so you can get updates for stuff like this. But I'm going to be doing another live stream on Friday. We're having our quarantine painting, as Kelly coined it. We're going to do that Friday at 1 p.m. Central Time, so it'll be a daytime, and I don't know how that's going to film in here in the day because it's very bright. I've got a lot of windows in this room, so we're going to experiment, but I'm going to be doing a landscape that's a more impressionistic, a much looser style. We're going to let our brush stroke show, and we're going to talk about how to accomplish that and how to get this looser brush stroke. So that one is Friday at 1 p.m. Central Time here on the channel. I'll post it all over the social media networks as well, but that one probably going to take a bit more time. That one is not as simple as this because we're going to be focusing on those brush strokes. We're going to be focusing on, there's just a lot of values, a lot of shift in light green versus dark green versus the trees. It's really pretty. Super excited about doing this one. So that one we are going to just walk through step by step, and it will be a paint along. And I'm going to try to get it done in 2 hours, but we'll see. We'll see how that happens. And actually, as I sit here looking at this, the bottom, which is probably cut off, but I do think I want to make this a little bit more solid down here. Just a bit. Now, you can get crazy and put highlights or backlights on that. It didn't have it in the reference photo. I just thought the reference photo as it was very pretty, so I'm going to leave mine simple, and then when I do eventually sign it, it would be in one of these, you know, the bottom corner there. So that is that finished painting. So easy, so simple, tons of different ways that you can get to the same end. Again, you can use a sponge to get your galaxy. You can use an airbrush. You can sit like I showed you where you do the little individual things. I smell smoke. I think my favorite neighbors are burning their house down. You've got tons and tons of options on how to create any of these. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine. That doesn't really matter. Let's see if that'll look different. Let me pull this back. Why is there a person at my front door? Hold on. Let me see if a person is actually at my front door or if Ring is lying to me again. Let's see. Trying to get the color so you can see that when I move the white, it will adjust that a bit. So you can see what this really looks like. Yeah, those colors are terrible. Let me adjust this really quickly. one's at my front door. This is lying to me. Or it's a ghost. Also possible. Bless you. Let's see. Configure video. That is what I'm looking for. Let's, whoops, fix the, just so you can see. I hit the wrong button again. There we go. I want to make this look a little bit more like what it looks like in person. Hold on. Yeah, my husband just texted me. It smells like a fire outside. I told him to text my neighbor. I'm pretty sure it's them. Let's see. We'll get the... Trying to make this look more... That is more what mine looks like there. White balance. I can probably adjust this a bit. Nope. We're going to put that back on auto. Mine has a little bit more of an orangey tint to it. Probably pull the saturation up a little bit more to make it look more like mine. I think the darkness can go up a little bit. That's probably closer. Okay, so that is more what mine looks like. There you go. If you guys, let's see. That was just straight black for the trees, correct? Yes, just straight black. I didn't add highlights. I didn't add blue over it. Nothing like that. It's just a silhouette, really, really basic. Yeah, Matt says my whole block is smoky. Oh my gosh, it's filling in the house. Like my windows are closed and it's getting in here. I probably should go make sure. No, that is definitely my neighbor. I can see the flame or the light. Hold on. Let's give them crap for this. You guys are coming with me as I text my neighbors. See, this is why I am going to get a propane fire table and not a fire table, because I'm pretty sure I would start the neighborhood on fire like what they're doing. Let's see. Gail said, I'm asking for my son Devin. He's curious what brand of airbrush and paint you use. I use Grex. My airbrush that I like the best right now is Grex, but I also really like Iwata. I used them for years. I used Tamiya for years. That one's great. For the paint, Golden's is my favorite and Holbein is my next favorite. The reason I like Golden so much is the bottle, though it's so easy to pour into your airbrush or shake and have it go all over your floor like I did earlier. Whereas the Holbein, it's a top like this. It's not quite as easy. Whoa, that does not look right. I'll show you this way. So this is the top I like. This is that. I did not realize in adjusting my color here, whoa, that looks kind of not correct. And that's why my color was not correct as we painted, because apparently my camera can't. I don't like this. So just a quick thing. I'm using a Logitech Brio for my webcam. It's crap. It costs more than my cheap ones, which are also Logitech. I do not like this webcam. There's so much I hate about it. The more I use it, the less I like it. It's definitely something I'm going to have to update very, very soon. Matt said it's getting really bad. They texted him. I'm going to have to update the camera very soon. I've got a few updates I want to do, but right now I kind of feel like it's not the time to be upgrading. I have to send the money. I have to put the money back for tax purposes into my business, but I'm kind of afraid to do that right now. I need to buy a new a blogging camera. Or vlogging camera, I should say. I need to get a new webcam. This one, the resolution is supposed to be better. I feel like it's worse. Like it's just, I've not gotten it to work real well. And it also, the other thing, I don't know if you can see, no, my other webcams, my other Logitech ones, I can adjust, I can move them and like they swivel. This one, you screw it into whatever and you can't adjust it easily. It just like, it's stiff. It doesn't move. It's terrible, terrible design. And I got it because it was supposed to be one of the best ones at the time that I bought it, like a year ago, 2 years ago. I don't know when it was. It's absolutely terrible. I do not recommend it. And I have a really hard time with this, getting the color to be even remotely like what my painting is. I'm still trying to make sure. Oh, they're making burgers. But anyway, sorry, I'm super distracted. This is just a night we're just going to deal with me being as unprofessional as it comes. We'll shoot for better on Friday. But that webcam, and I have it linked as the one that I'm using, just so you guys can see what it looks like. I don't like the quality at all. So if you are looking to make videos, I mean, it works. I don't mind it so much if it's just on my face, but all my artwork, I've never been happy with this camera. From the beginning, I was like, oh, it's just user error. And then the more I used it, the more I was like, no, this camera is terrible. I absolutely hate it. So yeah, don't recommend that one. I like my other Logitech webcams, but there's so much. I should do a full review. And I'm sure there's newer ones, but I should do a review on all the things I absolutely hate on this one. Or maybe I'll get a new one and then compare the two so people know if it's worth it. But yes, Sergio said, should we get excited? Some fine vlogs as well. Yeah, I want to have a vlogging camera. So one of the things that I have a hard time with, I can record on my DSLR, but it doesn't have that flip out window. I can't even tell if I'm on camera, let alone if I'm in focus. It's been an ongoing problem. So I started using, when I record, that's why you don't see me in the intros of my new videos right now, because it's such a pain to try to get set up, and I just end up not doing it. But I need, are you comfy? Your weight is just stretched out like Superman. Or wait, what was his dog's name? Crypto. Do I have that right? My husband would be proud if I got that right, because he's a super comic nerd. But anyway, the getting it set up to do vlogs right now is just such a pain. It's easier for me to do it on my cell phone at this point than the camera setup I have. So that is something that I'm going to be getting, and I need to get the whole thing needs to happen. But again, it's scary to spend money right now because like Patreon's dropped a little. I mean, I expected it to drop, but people are losing their jobs. It's a scary, scary time. And so putting money, I have to, for tax purposes, I have to put money back into my business. And I haven't done enough this year. I did get a bunch of art supplies from Jerry's. That'll be here tomorrow, next day. I should do an box opening of the stuff I ordered so you guys can see what I got. Spoiler alert, it's all Liquitex acrylic paints. I got panicky, like, what if the art supply stores close down and I don't have paint? So I bought a bunch of paint because that's like my biggest, I can't be without paint. But anyway, you guys understand. So yeah, that is something that I'll be doing soon. And I definitely want to do some, like from the yard, I want to include more of the dogs because they're just funny in like storytelling and such. But I can't do that right now because I'm not set up right for it. Like I can do it, it just doesn't look good and it takes forever and then I'm out of focus and I have to reshoot it and it can take me an hour to record something that takes 2 minutes, like 2 minutes of talking right now to try to get it right. So I have to adjust some of the stuff that I have. It's funny because I used to use a really cheap like little camera. That worked better, that was easier. And so I still am, actually it's back there, using my other one for here, but the audio's bad and I have to pull in another mic. It's still, I feel like I'm, I always say it's rednecking. There's another word for it. But when I, like Mickey Mouse, I guess, everything together to where it's like, this isn't how it's intended to work, but I can kind of pull it off. But it's just, it's drama. It's camera drama. So I need to work on that for sure. That's coming. I need to take a better photo of this on Instagram so you guys can see the color better. Let's see, a couple more questions here. Hold on. I'm getting more texts. Oh, Matt told me I need to put the light on for the chickens when I'm done. He turned them off because they were being loud. Let's see. Can it be a Passover burning? Passover starts tonight. Joseph said, no, it's my neighbors. We did find out. I can see the flame shooting up over. Oh, no, it's just the light reflecting on the back fence. They're having a barbecue in their backyard right now. My husband found out what it was to make sure it wasn't something we should be concerned with. Let's see. What do we have next? Ryan said, hey again, was wondering when you might do another art critique. Hope you're well. I don't know, probably soon. I mean, we'll be doing more quarantine type things. So I think more art critiques are good because we still have the MeWe ones that we left off at. We have to continue. My neighbor, when I sent him a text saying, don't burn the neighborhood down, he just texted me back going, I don't know what you're talking about. It's fun having, I never had neighbors that I really talked to that much. This is fun. Like, it's so nice we text constantly. It's really nice. And they do my yard work and my shiplap, so that's all bonus. Let's see. Joanna said, thank you so much, Lisa, for the tips and putting this live, I'm going to tell the amateur artist friends about you. Thank you. This is so useful. And thanks Nick and the moderator too. Yes, Nick and Joseph, thank them. Check out their channels. They both do art videos here on YouTube. Definitely subscribe to them. Tell them thank you. They help me so much. All the moderators in our groups help so much. Like I could not have, we've got our art groups, their links are in the description. I couldn't do it without these guys. Like there's no way I could run these without them. So definitely thank them. They're awesome. Sergio said, yes, you did get it right. And I think he's got many more reasons to be proud besides comic book references. Thanks, Sergio. I'm going to have to tell him that I remembered Superman's dog's name. He's going to laugh. And you know, you kind of look like him too with your little white... He's still all stretched out. It's really funny. Jayla said, Jerry's is doing great with staying efficient through this. I really respect that. My supply, I'm worried of running low on is watercolor paper. You know, you're not the first one. Somebody messaged me and wanted me to do a video talking about what to do when you're low on paper. Like, what then? And I don't know what the answer is. I ran out to story time because we've got a few minutes. I may as well tell a story. Do a koi fish one day. I like that idea. I love koi. But I wanted to paint one night, and this is back, you know, sorry being an artist thing. I would just buy what canvas I needed for that day. But I got home that day, that canvas I accidentally put a hole through, and that was the only canvas I had. But I really wanted to paint that night. Like I was so excited to paint that night. So I painted with the hole on it. I can't sell the painting. It has a hole in it. I can sell prints of it. It was actually my very, very first, kind of funny, my very first painting video on YouTube, like, what was that, 2012, 13, I don't know, a long time ago. Painting my dog Jessie, my Italian Greyhound, my first Italian Greyhound. That was the one that has a hole in it. It's up at the top of the canvas. And I kind of patched it up, and it's fine for hanging on my own wall, but I would never be able to sell. I mean, I probably would sell it anyway. It's, you know, my dog. I want to keep it, but yeah, I screwed that up and I didn't have a backup canvas. And so ever since that moment, I've always had backup of my like watercolor paper, my everything. I have extras lined up of everything because I'm super paranoid about losing my stuffs. So, or, you know, not being in the mood for something and not having the right size canvas. I need to actually place an order with Fredericks here soon. I haven't since I moved. Now that I actually have storage, I can order some more canvases. So that needs to happen very, very soon. Okay, well, we don't have any more questions coming in. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this short and let the dogs out. I'm really impressed with how good they're being. They're good boys, huh? We have to work with Gibson. He's a bit, if Gibson is laying down, he's very territorial of his bed that he's currently in. Like that's what the snarling we heard earlier. Because when Wade moved, even though he's in his own bed separate, Gibson gets all upset about it. So, Wade, are you gonna get up? You can come let people meet you. No, he's not moving. He's just all stretched out. He's enjoying that new bed. Side story, those beds are fairly pricey, but they hold up. Like it will last the life of the dog. Like these beds are amazing. So instead of having to replace the bed every few months, these ones, they wash up so nicely, so wonderful. So I spent an arm and a leg on it from Hollywood Feed, and then a week later they send a coupon 20% off your curbside pickup, because that's what we did, because they're encouraging people to do that so you don't have to go into the store. And now 20% would have saved a lot. And forever, I'm going to look at that bed and go, I could have saved 20% if I just waited a week. He needed a bed now. Clark Fine Art said, I saw people putting gesso on cardboard from shipping boxes they cut down so they could paint along with a video the other day. Yes, that would work. So here's the thing with cardboard. Not archival, not acid-free. You don't care right now. You just want to paint. You don't need to sell it. You need to paint. You need to practice. And if you don't have the materials, use what you have. That is a great, and I used to do that. Your paper, the back of paper, that cardboard that it has on that was one of my first, when I first started painting, I used to take my pads of paper and rip that back board off, gesso it, and paint that. And those ones should be acid-free, but right now, use what you've got. And if you decided to sell it, I would just say make sure the buyer knows it's not archival. You paint it on cardboard. But anything that keeps you painting, anything that lets you keep practicing right now. I mean, if you live in your own home, maybe if you've got the paint and don't have the canvas, maybe you can take, like I've got a small wall here behind my easel. I could just keep painting that. I could paint it black or white, whatever, and start painting a mural on that, just something. if obviously if you're renting in an apartment or that may not be a possibility for you, but that, like, when I look around here, I'm like, well, if I ran out, I could just start painting my walls. It may just be a collage of all kinds of stuff just so that I could paint, but I think that would be what I would do. The cardboard one's a really good idea though, because a lot of people are ordering things right now since we can't, or everybody's trying to stay home as much as possible. That's freaking genius. That's a really good suggestion. And it's funny, I didn't even think about that because that's what I used to do. And you could even do that with pencil. Let's say you had cardboard and if you have cardboard, you have gesso. If you could gesso that and get it white, you can use that for pencil sketches. It's not going to be the same as working on regular paper, but it keeps you drawing. It keeps you working on those values, which is really more important anyway. Even if your pencil stroke isn't perfect because it's on gessoed cardboard, it keeps you going. So that would definitely be an option. I like it. Sergio said, so I sense the storm coming. I ordered a full pack of 20 by 30 or 22 by 30 paper sheets. These should last me for a year, hopefully. Yeah, that you are like me. So yes, I've got at least 3 years worth of art supplies here. And maybe I wouldn't have the supply I want. I would run out of some of this before then, but I can keep painting or drawing, by mixing up the mediums I have, because I'm a bit of a hoarder when it comes to art supplies. I'm so paranoid. Since that incident with that canvas, that one incident was the thing that made me go, what if I run out? I have to stock up. Like, I have to hoard this. I may not have food, but I've got art supplies. Alyssa's art room said, I took an old 16 by 20 inch canvas board and had hubby cut it into 4 pieces with a chop saw. Did it fall apart? I wonder, because these are, like, my canvas boards are glued around the edge. I wonder, how did that hold up? The other thing you can do, let's say you've got a 16 by 20 inch canvas and you want it into smaller things, make a collage, one painting, but collage, like in one canvas can have 8 different paintings on it. This may be a good time too for a lot of you guys who are trying to save on those supplies to spend more time on each individual project. Don't do only simple stuff like this that you're going to jump through very quickly. Also do stuff that you're going to spend a month on one painting. This may be that time to try something in hyperrealism that you normally like, wow, wouldn't really enjoy putting that much time into one painting. Maybe this is the time to try that, to spend extra time to get that done. 1 second. Sorry, my husband working from home, it's so unusual I'm not used to any of this. This is very odd. His schedule's about to change. Random story, I'm just rambling because I don't have a question to answer right now and we have 9 minutes to go. I don't know why I don't just cut this off early, but anyway, because I guess I like to tell stories. His schedule is going to be changing. He's going to be working from home, but 9 p.m. till 7 a.m. 4 days a week. I'm like, oh, that's rough. I feel bad for him. That's even late. That's staying up later than even I like to do. Let's see. Sergio said, I think that incident might have rubbed off on me as well. Yeah, like, the fear of not having art supplies. Like, my violins, if I broke a string and couldn't play, I haven't been practicing lately anyway, like, that's fine. I'm fine with that, but not art. I have, like, so paranoid. Gail said, my sister bought a bolt of canvas years ago and her husband builds frames for her. I could always beg her for a slice. There you go. Yeah, this is the one time that having a bolted canvas, as much as I don't like stretching my own, this would be a time I would be glad to have that just in case. Some people were hoarding toilet paper. I went for the art supplies. Raven said, thank you for the wonderful night. I actually stock up every quarter on supplies that I'll be using. But I've been tempted to try pastel pencils. Ooh, watch Jason Morgan. Not you. Why am I saying you art? Unmask Art. Will Stoller. They have pastel great videos here on YouTube. Definitely check those two out. They are experts when it comes to that. Their work is phenomenal. Let's see. Alyssa said, nope, it stayed together perfect. Oh, good. I put a coat of gesso on it. Nice. Talking about the canvas boards. Gail said, at least he still got a job. Exactly. And that was the thing with him. He was even like, they contacted him because what he does, it's like a Q&A thing. It's kind of like a quality assurance type thing. And they're like, we don't really need that right now. Do you want to take the supervisor position? But it's crap hours. And it's like, hey, it's a job. Yes, they'll do it. So he said it's really boring because it's so slow. Just saying, oh, don't kick my stuff over. Don't kick your feet, cow dog. But he said it's really slow, so staying awake, those hours being that slow, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. But he's pretty excited because the team that he's got working with him are, like, he had someone else that transferred to that time so that he would be working at the same time as Matt. So they're, you know, working from their own homes, but they're still talking while working through that. So he's pretty excited about the team he got, because that is something he often complains about, people who don't really work well. Like, they have one girl right now who non-stop tech issues, like to the point that, and she's been doing it for a while, they know that she's faking, but it's like anything so she doesn't have to work. And so they have a lot of people like that. And so he's really excited that the team he's going to be working with is not her, or not the people that pull that crap. I don't know how these people keep their jobs. A lot of them aren't, though. That's why, like, they're having to it's a mess. So yes, he's just lucky to have one at this point. Baby Panda said, thank you, Lisa, for another wonderful evening. Stay safe and keep positive. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Thank all of you guys so much for joining. Don't forget about Friday. Friday will hopefully be a little bit more professional, or I don't know. I'm just really hoping we don't have the tech issues, and I'm going to hope to be a little bit more prepared. From the beginning of tonight, I was kind of flustered because we were playing musical dogs of who was going to lay where, and then Wade wanted back out, and then he wanted back in, and I'm like, yeah, I was out of breath when we even started tonight's stream, so it just started off. Let's see. Sergio said, by the way, do you still enjoy working on Stonehenge? I think it's my downright favorite paper. Sorry, Fabriano, artistic go too slippery for me. You know, I have a bunch of Stonehenge and I haven't used it in a while. I can't give you a good reason on why. I don't dislike it. I just always find myself reaching for arches is my favorite right now. I love arches. Tallulah said, I signed up for your Patreon this month. Thanks. Netflix has now been replaced by colored pencil tutorials. Also, Looks Archival is finally in stock on Jackson's UK. Exciting. That is awesome. Actually, I talked to Aliona last night, and it looks like we're also going to be getting, once all this settles, 11 by 14 inch paper. I hope I'm not letting that cat out of the bag, but I'm excited because that's a size that I'm most, like with colored pencil, 11 by 14 is like my favorite. That I do like with sanded paper 16 by 20 because you can work bigger, faster with colored pencils on that. But I was really excited that she was asking me what sizes I'd be interested in. I'm like, she mentioned 11 by 14. I'm like, that one, that's the one I want, 11 by 14. Gail said, take care, everyone. Shaz said, you don't have to worry about how professional. This is great entertainment. Yeah, watching me shake bottles and it goes all over. And yeah, it's been a night. I have been an impressive artist tonight, that's for sure. Okay, we've got 4 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Gibson's waking up and yawning. Oh no, head's going back down. You're done. Okay, I will talk to you guys hopefully on Friday. If not, we'll be here next week doing something. I am trying to do a few more of these paint-alongs for some of these nights because I know a lot of people are stuck at home. And just to get you started on, you know, basic projects that anyone can do to start with, where I'm trying to do a few more of these to. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for joining. I will see you guys in a couple of days.